So we're going to start at the top of the mat, just like always. So just come and stand at the top of the mat, feet nice and grounded into the mat beneath you. And just checking that your ankles, your knees and your hips are in alignment. And you just want your knees nice and soft. So we're not locking out the knees. It's just this nice normal standing position. Good. And then hands on the hips, and we'll just do a couple of our pelvic tilts. So when you're ready, you're going to inhale, arch the lower back, just coming into an anterior tilt. As you exhale, tuck the tailbone under. We're going to do that 2 more times. So inhale, as you arch the lower back, so just arching, compressing the lower back. Exhale, tuck the tailbone under, flattening and stretching the lower back. And 1 more time. Inhale, arch the lower back. Exhale, tucking under. And then finding somewhere between the two different positions, just somewhere in the middle, nice and neutral. Shoulders shrugging back and down away from you, crown of the head lifted. So standing tall for our 3 focus breaths. So if you can, we're going to breathe in and out of the nose. We're going to breathe in and out for a count of 3. So we'll all start together, breathing in, 2, 3, out, 2, 3. Breathing in, 2, 3, out, 2, 3. Final time, breathing in, 2, 3. And this time as you breathe out, drop the chin down towards the chest, round through the upper back, the mid back, the lower back, bending the knees, coming all the way down to the mat. So bringing yourself all the way down into a supine position. And once again, just lining up the ankles, the knees, and the hips. Shrug the shoulders back and down away from you, arms resting at the sides of your body. Your feet are facing forward. We're going to start to articulate into the spine. So breathing in, and as you breathe out, tuck the tailbone under, keep the tuck under as you begin to roll up the spine, lifting through each and every vertebra in the correct order. Inhale at the top of the lift, and as you exhale, slowly and with control, rolling all the way back down. Good. We're going to do that 2 more times. Inhale. As you exhale, pressing strongly into the feet, tucking the tailbone under, begin to roll up the spine, lifting the ribs, the chest up towards the ceiling, and slowly rolling all the way back down. Try and keep your knees nice and level, nice and stable throughout. 1 more time. Inhale. As you exhale, tuck the tailbone under, begin to roll all the way up the spine. 1 final time, slipping into a nice easy back bend. Exhaling all the way back down. Good. And once you feel the tailbone connect to the ground, just walk the feet to mat distance apart. We'll just mobilize the lower back. The inhale is inhale to prepare, and as you exhale, the knees drop over towards the right. So just turning the lower back. Inhale, knees to center. Exhale, knees over towards the left. Inhale, knees to center. Once more on each side. Knees to the right. Inhale, knees to center. Exhale, knees towards the left. You might feel this on the outside of the hip as well. And back to center, just warming up, coming into the adductors a little bit, so walk the feet together. The soles of the feet are going to touch and the knees are going to come open. But as your knees drop away, just make sure you keep this core stability. So just watch you don't start to arch the lower back and compress into the lower back. So you want to keep your back nice and flat on the floor, keep your abdominal wall drawing in, keep your ribs drawing down. You're going to inhale, and as you exhale, your knees are going to start to roll or drop out to the side. And so you feel a stretch in the adductors. And again, just checking in that your torso stability is nice and engaged. Good. And again, inhale, knees together. Exhale, nice gentle stretch of the adductors. We don't need to take them to their full range. And once more, inhale together, final time, exhale, just allow the knees to drop out to the side. You can use your hands to bring the knees back together if that feels better for you right now, and then draw the knees in towards the chest. So we're just going to come into our lateral flexion now, so just starting to lengthen out the lower back. So inhale as you allow the knees to move away from you. As you exhale, draw the knees into the chest, just feeling a stretch in the lower back. 2 more times. Inhale, knees away from you. Exhale, knees in towards the chest. Final time. Inhale, knees away from you. Exhale, knees towards the chest. Good. So just holding here for a breath or 2. You can bring your nose up towards your knees for an extra stretch, and then replace the head back down to the mat. We'll just come into our knee circles. So just taking the knees away from each other. The toes stay, the big toes are going to stay touching. So you're just circling into the hips. You're just drawing the knees taking them out away from each other, and then draw them back up the midline of the body, and then changing direction. So we're just warming up, untethering, and just moving, mobilizing into the hip joint. Good. Final time. And then placing the hands underneath the thighs and begin to roll up and down the spine. So just rolling up and down the spine a couple of times, eventually finding yourself all the way up in a bent knee seated position, just coming straight into our thoracic rotations. So sitting nice and tall once more. Inhale, and as you exhale, just rotating around towards the right. So the right hand comes behind you, left hand is just resting on the outside of the right knee. Inhale, back to center. Exhale in the opposite direction, turning the ribs, the chest towards the left. Inhale, back to center. Exhale all the way around towards the right, just turning, rotating in the torso. Inhale, back to center. Exhale all the way towards the left. Hand back to center, coming into our side bends. Left hand on the floor. Inhale as you reach the right arm up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, hinging over towards the left. Inhale, back to center. Exhale over towards the right. So just pulling the ribs, the pelvis away from each other. Inhale, back to center once more on each side. Just reaching up and over. So just coming into a nice side bend. And final side, reaching up and over towards the right. Good. And then placing the hands back down on the mat. We're just going to allow the knees to roll from side to side. So again, just nice gentle movement. We're just warming up, mobilizing the body, warming up into all the joints, just starting to get everything moving before we come into some bigger movements, particularly around the hips. Good. So from here, we're just going to roll into our tabletop position. So spreading your fingers nice and wide, middle finger facing forwards. Wrists below shoulders, knees below hips, and we'll just roll up and down the spine a few more times. So inhale as you lift the tailbone, arch the spine, lift the chest, lift the gaze. As you exhale, tuck the tailbone under, round through the lower back, the mid back, the upper back, tuck the chin to chest. A few more times. Inhale as you lift the tailbone, rolling up the spine, lifting the chest, lifting the gaze. Exhale, tuck the tailbone under, rounding and stretching into the spine. Final time, inhale, rolling up the spine. Again, just trying to move through each and every vertebra in the correct order. So this is really about mobilizing the spine rather than building flexibility. Good. And rounding the spine one final time. And then come back into a neutral spine. I'm going to start working into the hips. So staying in your tabletop, you're going to step your right foot to the outside of your right hand. So we're coming into this lizard position. And we're very quickly going to feel it in your hips and your groin area. So maybe just take a couple of circles here. So just moving in and out of the stretch, changing direction. So just starting to get a bit of movement into this maybe tight, restricted area. Good. And then we're going to go into it a little bit deeper, if you wish, by tucking the left toes under, lifting off the knee. So we're going to bring it into the hip flexors on the left side at the same time now. So really reach back through the left heel and forward through the crown of the head and the chest. So you're really going to feel a deep stretch in the hip flexors on the left side as you're opening into the groin area on the right side. Good. And then release the back knee down. You can untuck the toes. The right hand's going to rest on the thigh and you're just rotating your ribs, your chest towards the right. And bring the hand back to the ground. Step the right foot coming back into tabletop. Drop the hips forwards, roll all the way down the front of the body, coming all the way down to the mat. The hands are resting under the shoulders. Inhale as you exhale, press into the hands, just coming into a gentle back bend, just coming into a bit of thoracic extension here. And release the chest back towards the mat. Tuck the toes under, abdominal wall drawing into you, nice and supported over the spine as you roll over the knees, lift the hips up and back into a nice easy downward facing dog. So just stretch out the back of the body, the posterior chain, and then release the knees back to the mat. Send the hips back to the heels, coming into extended child pose. Good. So just taking a breath or two here as you reach forward through the hands and back through the tailbone, coming into your side bend. The inhale as you exhale, walk the hands over towards the right. The hips are staying on the heels, so you really feel this lengthening along the left side of the body. Inhale, hands back to center. Exhale, hands all the way over towards the right. Good. And back to center once more. And then rocking back up into your tabletop, and we're going to take the hip stretch on the other side. So stepping the left foot to the outside of the left hand this time. And again, you're going to feel it on the inside of the hips, the groin area. So maybe just taking a couple of circles. You can hold it in stillness if you wish. But for me, I think it feels really nice just to get a little bit of movement, particularly if it's feeling tight and restricted, which for us runners, it usually does. Good, so just taking a couple of circles, just moving around the hip. And then we're just going to take it into a deeper stretch of the hips, so tucking the right toes under, lifting off the knee. So the hips are staying level, we're just opening out the left side, reaching back through the right heel, forward through the chest and the crown of the head, so you feel it stretch, lengthening along the right hip flexors. Good. So some of these hip flexors attached to the lumbar spine and across the front of the hip and into the femur. They attach the upper body to the lower body. Good, and then release the back knee down. And then placing the left hand on the thigh, just turning the ribs, the chest towards the left. And coming back into tabletop, so hands nice and grounded into the mat, stepping back into your tabletop. Hips drop forwards, roll all the way down the front of the body, coming down to the mat. Hands coming under the shoulders, feet together, hips staying grounded. Inhale as you exhale, just lifting the chest, lifting the gaze, and bringing yourself back down to the mat. Tucking the toes under, rolling over the knees, hiking the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Good. And then drop back to the knees and come back into extended child pose. Taking a breath or two here, coming into our side bends. Inhale as you exhale, walk the hands over towards the right. So just reaching the hands, the hips are staying nice and grounded on the heels so that you feel the stretch in the side of the body. Inhale, hands back to center. Exhale, hands over in the opposite direction. So you're going to feel this in your lower back as well, coming into the stretch of some of those lower back stabilizing muscles, your QLs. And back to center, and coming back into tabletop, toes tucking under, hips piking up and back, coming into downward facing dog, and we're really going to start warming up into the hips. So you're going to reach the right foot up towards the ceiling. So you're coming into a 3-leg downward dog, flexing into the foot, the hips are staying nice and level, so we've not got any rotation of the hips just yet. The left heel is reaching towards the ground. Now we're going to bend the right knee and tip the right foot over towards the left, so you're opening up the hips, and now you're going to be rotating, and we're going to take some circles with the knees, so just taking some big juicy circles with your right knee, so really getting into that hip. Good. So just doing it a couple of times, and then extending that leg back up towards the ceiling so your hips are level once more. You're going to inhale as you reach the leg away from you. As you exhale, bend the knee and draw the right knee in to meet your nose. Inhale the leg away from you. This time as you exhale, right knee's coming to the outside of the right elbow. Inhale the knee away from you, the leg away from you. Exhale, drawing it across the front of the body as you bring the right knee to left elbow. Inhale away from you one more time. Replace the foot on the ground. Good. So you're back in your downward facing dog. Roll forwards, coming into a plank position. Lower halfway down towards the mat. Roll over the toes. Lift the chest, so you're coming into your upward facing dog. Roll back over the toes, hike the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Good, we're going to do all of that on the other side. So this time reaching the left leg up towards the ceiling, really reaching through the sole of the foot, your hips are staying nice and level, the right heel still reaching towards the mat. Then bending the left knee and sending the left foot over towards the right side. So you're really opening up into the hips, taking our big circles with the knee. Good, so you can make these as big as feels good for you. You can change direction if that feels nice. You're really getting into that hip. Good, one more time. And then extending it back up towards the ceiling, just doing a little bit of strength work now. So inhale the leg away from you. As you exhale, bring the knee in towards the nose. Inhale the leg away from you. Exhale, left knee, left elbow. Good. Inhale the knee away from you. Exhale, left knee over to right elbow. Just coming across the front of the body and reaching it back up towards the ceiling. One final time. And then replacing the foot back onto the mat, back into downward facing dog. Inhale as you roll forwards, coming into plank. As you exhale, lowering halfway down to the mat. Inhale as you lift up into your upward facing dog. As you exhale, hips up and back,
downward facing dog. And then release the knees and take the knees as wide as the mat, big toes touching, send the hips back to the heels, coming into a wide knee child pose this time. So you're just coming into a nice stretch in the adductors. Take the weight out of your wrist, maybe just take a couple of circles through the wrist, just going in one direction and then changing direction. Good. And then from here, we're going to come back into our tabletop, tuck the toes under, pike the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Soften the knees, soften the elbows, and walk the feet to the top of the mat, coming into a nice easy forward fold. So bend the knees as much as you need to. It really doesn't matter. You just don't want to feel any pulling in your lower back. Taking hold of opposite elbows and gently sway from side to side, so just easing out the back of the body. You're going to feel this down the back of the legs, just lengthening out the spine. Good, and then release the hands down towards the ground. Bend the knees even deeper, press strongly through the feet as you tuck the tailbone under, begin to roll all the way up the spine. Arms reaching up towards the ceiling as you inhale. Exhale, hands to the side of the body, really good. And just take a couple of rolls into the shoulders, and we're just going to start to come into our warm-up. Good, I'm sure we're already feeling warm. Going to come into our thoracic rotations and start to come into our warm-up into our hip flexors as well. So inhale as you reach your arms towards the ceiling. Exhale, arms coming out and down into a forward fold. Stepping back with the left foot, so you're back in that runner's lunge now. Good. Coming straight into our rotations. So inhale to prepare, and as you exhale, you're reaching the right hand up towards the ceiling. So you're turning the ribs, the chest towards the right. Inhale the hands to the ground. Exhale, left arm reaching up towards the ceiling, turning the ribs, the chest towards the left. The hips stay nice and level. Dropping the hand back to the mat. Release the back knee down. As you inhale, sweep the arms up towards the ceiling. Good. So just checking your abdominal wall still nice and engaged. You don't want to feel this in your lower back. You don't want to feel like you're lengthening here. It's the hip flexors on the left side that you want to stretch. Good. So we're going to come into our hip flexor lunges from here. So inhale as you reach the arms up. As you exhale, just start to send the weight back. The arms are just coming down to your side. This is just going to increase the stretch through the front of the body. So inhale, reaching the arms up towards the ceiling. Exhale and back. Good. And one more time. Inhale forward. And exhale all the way back. Good. And then framing the foot once more. Bring the front foot all the way to the back. So you're back in your tabletop position. Drop the hips forwards. Roll all the way down the front of the body. Forward folds. Forearms sliding forwards. Feet coming together, pelvis staying grounded. Inhale as you exhale, coming into your Sphinx pose, your thoracic extension, and dropping back to the mat. Hands coming underneath the shoulders, toes tucking under, rolling over the knees, hiking the hips, up and back, downward facing dog. Good, and bringing the focus to the back of the legs, bending the right knee, reach the left heel towards the mat, breathing in and out. And changing side, reaching the right heel towards the mat, bending the left knee, breathing in and out. Reaching high onto the balls and toes of the feet, breathing in and breathing out, heels towards the mat. Soften the knees, soften the elbows, walk or step the feet to the top of the mat, coming into your forward fold. As you inhale, tuck the tailbone under, bend the knees deeply, begin to roll all the way up the spine, stacking the vertebrae in the correct order, arms reaching towards the ceiling, exhaling, coming straight into your sacrum, so coming back into a forward fold, and this time stepping back with the right foot. Good. So you're still reaching back through the right heel, forward through the crown of the head, so you're still stretching into the hip flexors. We're going to come into the thoracic rotations from here. So inhale as you exhale, turn the ribs, the chest towards the left. Inhale the hand back to the mat. Exhale, right hand towards the ceiling, turn the ribs, the chest towards the right. Inhale the hand back to the mat, releasing the back knee down. Drawing in the abdominal wall as you reach the arms up towards the ceiling, hips sinking forward. So the pelvis is coming forward. You want to feel it in the hip flexors on the right side this time. Inhale as you reach the arms up. As you exhale, just sliding the weight back a little bit, arms coming to the side. 2 more times. Inhale, reaching the arms up. Exhale and back. Good. Final time. Inhale, just getting a really nice stretch with the anterior chain, the front of the body, and all the way back. Good. Framing the foot, stepping back into your tabletop, hips dropping forwards, rolling down the front of the body. So just mobilizing the body now, mobilizing the spine rather than building the strength. Good. Hands gliding forward or forearms forward, feet together. Inhale as you exhale, lifting the chest, rolling the shoulders back and down away from you. Good. So just getting some space in your upper back and dropping the forehead back to the mat. Hands coming under the shoulders, toes tucking under, rolling over the knees, piking the hips up and back, downward facing dog. And again, bringing the focus to the back of the legs, bending the left knee, reaching the right heel towards the mat, breathing in and out. And changing sides, feeling it in the Achilles, the calves, the hamstrings, breathing in and out. Lifting high onto the balls and toes of the feet as you breathe in, breathing out, heels towards the mat. And soften the knees and elbows, walk or step the feet to the top of the mat, coming into your forward folds. Tuck the tailbone under, begin to roll all the way up the spine, arms reaching up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, hands coming to the sides of the body. Good. From here, we're going to come into straight into our adductors, so just moving the stretches around the hips. So we're going to stand tall through the right foot, so nice and grounded through the right foot, and you're just drawing the left foot up the inside of your leg, and we're just going to do a bent knee turn out to start. So the hips are going to stay facing forward throughout. You want to feel nice and stable through the torso, so just drawing in the abdominal wall, ribs drawing down. The knees pointing forwards, hands on hips, so you can feel the position of the pelvis. Breathing in, as you breathe out, take the knee out towards the left. Breathing in, draw the knee back to center. Exhale, knee out towards the left. And again, breathing in without the pelvis moving, knee out towards the left. And this time, follow the knee all the way around, stepping the foot nice and wide, so you're in a nice wide leg position, heels lining up, toes pointing to the corners of the mat. Breathing in, reach the arms above your head. As you breathe out, bending the knees, circling the arms all the way round and down. 2 more times. Breathing in, standing tall. As you exhale, bending the knees tracking over the toes, coming into adductor squat. 1 more time, breathing in and breathing out. Good, so feeling nice and strong through the feet, grounded in the legs, stable in the torso. And straightening the legs once more. Back foot can stay where it is. Front foot opening up, so the toes are pointing the short side of the mat. Arms extended nice and wide, coming into our triangle pose. As you inhale, start to reach forward with your hands, and then just hinging from the hips, the right hand is resting somewhere along the leg, just to avoid pressing into the knee, and your left hand is reaching up towards the ceiling. So you're just coming into a deep stretch in the side of the body. Your obliques are working really hard to stabilize you here. You're going to feel a really nice stretch across the left hip. This is a good staple stretch for runners. It really targets your hot spots. Good. So you feel it every time. Shoulders relax from ears. On your next inhale, use your core to bring you back up to standing. Bend the front knee. Front forearm resting on the thigh, back arm reaching up and over, coming into extended side angle pose. Good. So your left hip still drawing back, your right knee's tracking over your toes. Your back foot still nice and grounded, so just checking that you're not rolling onto the inner edges of your feet. Good. 1 more breath here. On your next inhale, bring yourself back up to standing. Windmill the back hands all the way over to frame the foot at the top of the mat. So you're coming back onto the balls and toes of the left foot, back into a low runner's lunge. Dropping the back heel, the back knee to the ground. Inhale, reach the arms up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, circling the arms round and down, framing the foot once more. Front foot coming back into tabletop. Hips dropping forwards, rolling all the way down the front of the body. Inhale as you press through the palms, lifting into your cobra pose. As you exhale, back towards the mat. Toes tucking under, rolling over the knees. Hips lifting up and back, Downward facing dog. Good. So holding here for a breath or two. So you can pedal the feet from side to side. You can bend the knees completely, or you can reach the heels towards the mat for a deeper stretch. Good. Or if you need a rest, just come into child pose and just use this option to take a rest for a moment. Good. So one more breath, breathing in and out. And then softening the knees, you're going to walk or step the feet to the top of the mat, forward fold. As you inhale, press strongly through the feet, roll up the spine, arms reaching up towards the ceiling. Exhale, hands to the side of the body. Good. Rolling through the shoulders if you need to, and coming. I'm just swapping sides so that you can see me when I turn. We're going to do all of that on the other side. So this time pressing strongly through the left foot. The left toes still want to be facing forward. You're just going to draw the right foot up the inside of the leg. So finding your balance is standing strong, feeling nice and stable in the torso. Good. So we're working on some single leg stability at the same time lengthening out the adductors. Good. So inhale here as you exhale, just knees opening out towards the right. The hips want to stay level throughout. Inhale, knee to center. Exhale, knee towards the right. Good. One final time. Inhale, knee to center. Exhale, knee to the right, feeling the stretch in your adductors. And this time following the right knee all the way around, opening the leg out. So you're coming back into a wide leg stance, facing the long side of the mat, toes nice and open, heels lining up. Inhale, reach the arms towards the ceiling. Exhale, circling the arms round and down so you feel a stretch in the adductors. 2 more times. Inhale, reaching the arms up. Exhale and down. Good. And one final time, inhale, reaching the arms up, coming off the stretch. Exhale, coming down into the adductors. Just checking in, you're still nice and stable through the torso, so we're not arching into the back. Good. Nice and supported. Just keeping the knees drawing back so you can feel the stretch on your adductors. And straightening the legs, opening the toes, the left toes to face the short corners of the mat. Extending the arms nice and wide, shoulders away from ears. Inhale, reach the arm forward. As you exhale, just dropping or hinging from the hips as the left hand rests along the leg. Back arm is reaching up towards the ceiling. Good. If this feels really horrible on your spine, just allow the back hand to rest on your back somewhere or along your hip. So just take it out of the shoulder. Good. Otherwise, reaching the arm up towards the ceiling. Your gaze can be down towards the mat, or if it feels okay on your neck, you may even wish to lift it up towards the ceiling, but that does play with your balance. If you feel it in your neck just coming out, your stable's nice and torso, your obliques are working super hard here to stabilize you. You're strengthening and lengthening the muscles of the legs. Good. Inhale, use your core to bring you all the way back up to standing. Bend the front knee, front forearm resting on the thigh, back arm reaching up and over, extended side angle pose. Good. Your front knee's tracking over the ankle, your back hips pulling back. You're going to feel this in your adductors. Really nice stretch for the sides of the body. Good. Great for strengthening your legs. Feel it, I'm sure. Good. One more breath. And then bring yourself all the way back up to standing, back arm windmilling all the way over to frame the foot at the top of the mat. Release the back knee. Inhale, sweep the arms up towards the ceiling, reaching up through the fingers, getting length and space along the spine and between the ribs. And hands coming back to the mat. Stepping the front foot all the way back, coming into your tabletop, hips drop forwards as you roll all the way down the front of the body. Feet coming together, inhale as you exhale, lifting your chest, coming into your back bend, and back towards the ground. Toes tucking under, rolling over the knees, hips piking up and back, downward facing dog. Good, so we're going to hold here for about 2 or 3 breaths. So again, just find a position that works for you. So you're just lengthening out the back of the body, the spine, the glutes, hamstrings, calves, Achilles. So just make any adjustments that you need to. Your fingers are spread nice and wide. Your wrists are shoulder distance apart. Your feet are hip distance apart. The strength in your arms is pressing the torso back towards the thighs. Breathing in and out. and then softening the knees. Walk or step the feet to the top of the mat, coming into your forward folds. As you inhale, press strongly through the feet, arms reaching up towards the ceiling. Exhale, hands down to the sides. Really good, well done. So we're going to slow it down a little bit now. We're going to come into our adductor stretch to come into the outside of the thighs, and we're going to come back down to the mat and come back to the inner thighs. Good. So hopefully your hips are going to feel nice and free by the end of it. So we're just going to stand through the right foot. You're just going to cross the left leg behind you. It's a stretch that I'm sure you're all familiar with. Your hips are going to stay level, so tight abductors are going to pull your hips out of alignment to try and cheat out the stretch. Your right hand can rest on the thigh. You're going to reach the left arm up towards the ceiling. Good. So really get some length and space into the left side first as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, just start to hinge over towards the right. Good. So just checking in, the hips are level. The feet are strung into the mat. Good. You can press the left hip out to the side, but we just don't want any rotation. Good. You're going to feel this on the abductors on the outside of the hip. If you have tight IT bands, you might feel it on the outside of the thigh. Good. Your IT band works hard to stabilize your hip and your knee in running. It gets very tight. Can't actually stretch the IT band, but we really want to stretch the abductors, the muscles around it. And coming all the way out of it and changing the positions of your legs. This time crossing the right leg behind the left, reaching the right arm up towards the ceiling, breathing in as you find that length and space. As you exhale, just hinging over towards the side. Good. So the hips are staying facing forward, nice and level, shoulder relaxed away from ears. Good. So if it feels a little bit intense, just to hold it statically. You have the option just to keep coming in and out of it a couple of times. So just choose the version that feels best for your body this evening. Good. So just holding for another breath or two. So this is a nice movement to do after your runs, to start incorporating into your post-running stretching routine, which I know you all have. And coming all the way out to it, really good. And then from here, uncrossing the legs. You're going to take the feet about mat distance apart, the short edge of the mat. So I'm just facing you guys. You're going to bend the knees. So you're coming down all the way into this kind of froggy squat. So you're going to feel this in your hips on the inside. If you've got tight abductors, you're going to feel it on the outside as well. Good. So your heels can be off the ground. That's absolutely fine. You can take your feet a little bit wider if that feels better for you. So you're just going to reach the left hand up towards the ceiling, just turning the ribs, the chest towards the left, and bringing it back to center and just taking that in the opposite direction. So just reaching the opposite hand up towards the ceiling and bringing it all the way back. Good. And from here, you're just going to jump the knees together. And we're going to come into a passive stretch of the adductors now. So we're going to glide on and off the stretch to start to get a little bit of flexibility. So we've warmed up into them. So we'll see how it goes. Good. So you're just going to start by bringing your weight onto the right knee. Your hands are in front of you. You're going to keep your weight supported throughout. You're going to take your left foot out to the side and reach it as far away from you as you can. Good. And then walk your hands into center. So you're bringing your torso between the hips, between the legs. Good. Your weight is on your hands. So although it's a strong stretch, you're in complete control of how deep you feel it. Good. So you can walk your hands forward a little bit now so your hips line up with your knees. And we're going to start gliding on and off the stretch. So inhale forward, and as you exhale, begin to send the weight back a little bit, and you're going to start feeling the stretch. Good. Inhale, coming forwards. Exhale and back. Good. One more time. Inhale, coming forwards. Exhale and back. And we're going to hold it for a few breaths now. So just find a place where you can feel it. It'll be slightly different for everybody. Remember to keep your weight through your hands. Good. So there's a lot of weight going through it. So you want to be nice and supported. Try and relax into it. Keep your breathing nice and relaxed. The adductors are never an easy place to stretch for runners. There's just such a restricted area, but not an area that many of us stretch into because it usually just doesn't feel very good. Good. So just keeping nice and relaxed, keep the breathing nice and relaxed, and bring the weight forward coming off the stretch. Good. Then you're just going to walk your hands a bit closer to you again. and start to bring the right knee back into center. And then bring the left knee in to join it. Good. Take a minute here, and then unfortunately we have two sides. You're gonna have to do it again on the other side. So this time, taking the left knee away from you and start to reach the right leg away from you. So just sending it as far away from you as you can. And then bring the hands into the center. So you're bringing your torso between your hips. And then walk your hands forward so that your hips line up, your right hip lines up with your right knee. And from here, we're going to start gliding on and off the stretch. So inhale forwards as you exhale, gliding back until you start to feel the stretch increase. Inhale, gliding forwards. Exhale and back. Good. And one more time. Inhale, coming forwards. Exhale and back. Good. And then finding a position where you feel the stretch. We're going to hold it for a couple of breaths to start to build a little bit of flexibility into the adductors now. So your weight is through your hands. Your breath is completely relaxed. Nice deep breaths coming in and out of the body. That's going to help encourage the muscles to relax, to let go. Really important. Good. One more breath. And then to come out of it, you can walk the hands back towards you. Press through the hands as you bring the left knee all the way back in. Bring the right knee back in to join it. And just send your hips back and just come into a well-deserved child pose. Good. So just bringing the hips back together. Just give them a moment to settle back down, to forgive you. Good. And then you're going to walk the hands up towards you, lifting up onto the knees and sending the legs out to the side. We're going to come down to the mat. We're going to do a final stretch. We're going to stretch for the external rotators, the piriformis muscle. So we're going to come into our figure of four. So again, it's one that you're probably familiar with. You can do it standing up as well, which is great after running for a bit of single leg stability. But we're going to do it lying down today. So coming all the way down to the mat, and you're going to keep the right leg bent, the sole of the right foot is going to stay on the ground, and just bring the left knee into the chest. So just interlace the fingers around the left knee, the left shin, and just take a couple of circles. So just easing out any tension, tightness. Good. And then you're going to place the left ankle onto the right knee. And just start to press the left knee away from you. So for some of you, this might be enough. This might actually be really hard to get into this position. You might feel it really strongly on the outside of your left hip already. And this might be your limit. So just stay here if that is. And if it is, just work with your breathing and just try and relax your body into this position. But anyone that's got a little bit more to give, you can start to lift the right foot off the floor, and you can bring the right knee into the chest and interlace the fingers around the right shin, or maybe the thigh. So it's a little bit less challenging if it's on the thigh rather than the shin. And then drawing it in towards your body until you feel a stretch on the outside of the hip. Well, you're going to feel it kind of in the glute area and underneath the glute. You're coming into your piriformis muscle. So it's another area that's really restricted for runners. So you can probably feel it already. And if you do, you can come on and off the stretch. You just bring the knee away from you, the right knee, just glide it towards you and away from you, just to ease on and off the stretch. This muscle externally rotates the leg, but it also works hard with other hip stabilizing muscles to help you stand on one leg. So of course it's working over time in running, so it needs a little bit of love and attention. Good, to bring it back to its normal resting length. We're at the end of the session now, so you can hold the stretches for a little bit longer. Nice and warmed up. Good. And then releasing the right foot back to the mat, uncrossing the left knee, and we'll take that on the other side. So this time bringing the right knee in towards the chest, hug around the knee, and again just take a couple of circles into the hips, just circling in one direction, changing direction. And then we're just going to take that on the other side. So this time, right ankle is resting on the right thigh. And again, you might just want to stay here. This might be enough for you. You want to keep your hips nice and level. If you feel like your hips are coming out of alignment or you're rolling slightly onto one side, this is probably the edge of your limit. Is where you want to be, it's where you want to stay. If you've got a little bit more to give, you can start to bring the left knee in towards the body, and you can interlace the fingers around the shin or maybe around the thigh, just to start to encourage the knee in towards your body. It's just going to increase the stretch on the piriformis muscle on the right side this time. Good. You might really notice a difference on either side. One hip might be much more restricted than the other. So just respect that, just honor that. We can't force both sides of the body to be the same. It takes time and effort to balance it out. So don't try and force it. Okay, keep your breathing nice and relaxed. Again, you can come on and off the stretch if that feels better for you. You can just glide the knee towards you and away from you. Just gently encourage the muscle to lengthen. Good. And then releasing the left foot back to the mat, uncrossing the right ankle, placing it on the floor, and we're going to come into our final resting position. So if you're feeling it around your hips, if they're just feeling really fed up after all of that, if they're feeling a little bit uncomfortable, if you can feel any niggles in the lower back, just keep the knees bent and the soles of the feet on the floor. If it feels really nice for you to lengthen the legs up to the top of the mat, just extend them away from you, that's really nice. Just take that position, just allow your ankles and feet to roll out to the side, just so that your legs don't need to do any work to hold you here. You just want to check that your head's in line with the rest of your body, so you just don't want it rolling over to one side. Shoulders shrugging back and down into the mat beneath you, arms resting at the sides of your body. And if you feel able to, for these last few moments, just softening your gaze or closing your eyes completely. And just allow your body and your mind to relax. So try not to fight it. Just allow it to be. So just beginning to relax these big fight or flight muscles. So can you soften your jaw a little bit? Notice if you're holding a lot of tension around your jaw. If you do this in your day-to-day life, you're definitely going to take it into your run. And you're just going to waste a lot of precious energy. You really want to learn to consciously relax these areas so you can keep your energy for the run. Just relaxing the forehead, shoulders melting down into the mat beneath you. Just allowing the whole body to completely relax. Breathing is nice and balanced. It's just floating in and out of your body. No effort whatsoever. Just creating this internal environment, your physical body to be able to recover, heal, rest, recuperate. So just staying like this in complete stillness for the next couple of breaths. Just give yourself permission to do that. Allow your abdomen to rise and fall with each inhale and exhale. And then when you're ready, we're just going to bring a little bit of movement back into the body by wiggling into fingers and toes, circling into ankles and wrists. And then coming into a full body stretch of reaching the arms above the head, really reaching through the tips of the fingers down into the tips of the toes, taking up some length and space along your mat as you come into a full body stretch. And then draw the knees into the chest, hug around the knees and gently rock from side to side. Just massaging the spine, the lower back. Eventually rolling onto the right side of your body, just taking a moment here to allow your body to come back into balance. And then when you're ready, coming up into a comfortable seated position, ready to finish with one final complete breath to take you back into the rest of your evening. So you want to feel nice and grounded through both the sit bones, sitting nice and tall, crown of the head lifted, shoulders melting down away from the ears. Interlace the fingers in front of you, reaching the palms away. As you inhale, arms reaching up towards the ceiling, taking in a full nourishing breath. As you exhale, just sighing the breath out as you release the arms. And we are there. Thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope your hips feel nice and free over the next few days. They may complain a little bit though. Thank you.